In this video, I'm going to show you how to integrate third-party devices on the EtherCAT network with a PUM or PCMM master controller and the KAS IDE software. This is going to involve three main steps. First, you're going to import an EtherCAT slave information file, oftentimes called ESI file for short, or an XML file because this is the Windows file extension it will be found under. Typically, these will be found from a third-party manufacturer's website. Once that file is imported, we're going to do a scan devices on the EtherCAT network. So the master controller will find all the individual EtherCAT nodes. Once all of them are found, you can open up each one individually and map program variables to the PDO inputs and outputs of each device. This is done so that automatically each variable mapped to it at each EtherCAT update rate will either update all input PDOs or write to all output PDOs for these devices. For the first step to import an ESI file, you first have to go to the Project Explorer and double-click on the EtherCAT section. This will bring the EtherCAT devices section to the main window of the KAS IDE software. From here, we're going to click on the ESI Files tab to show the section where third-party manufacturer ESI files are already listed. These are all ones that I've previously imported. And right now, I'm going to work with ECAT drives and Kollmorgen EtherCAT I/O, as well as some third-party I/O from a company called Wago. I've already imported the ESI file, but if I didn't, I would just have to click on this Add button, and a pop-up will allow me to go through all of my folders of my PC in order to find the ESI, or also known as an XML file, because it is the Windows file extension, and I could import it. Now that it's imported, I can go back to the Devices tab, and as long as I have the IP address of my controller set, I can click Scan Devices, and the software will go out and find all the EtherCAT devices daisy-chained off that master controller. So it not only found all my Kollmorgen devices, 2 ECAT servo drives, our bus coupler with 8-channel input and output slices, it also found this third-party device, a Wago bus coupler, and 4-channel inputs and outputs. If I press OK, they'll all be added to the EtherCAT devices, both in the EtherCAT setup screen, as well as under the EtherCAT section of the Project Explorer. Now that I have imported the ESI file and scanned for devices, the last step to integrate the third-party I/O is to pick which program variables I want to map to the PDO inputs and outputs for this device. To do that, I'm going to find the device listed under EtherCAT section of the Project Explorer now, since I've scanned for devices. Double-click on it to have it open up in the main window, and I can click on the PDO Selection Mapping tab to see a list of the available PDO inputs and outputs, and this is where you can map variables to them. I'm going to go to the first input, which is on module 2, which is a 4-channel output. And I'm going to right-click and select Map to bring a pop-up, which I can either go and select a previously created variable, or I can click Create POC Variable. It'll have a pop-up and let me create a new variable right here. It'll automatically get added to my dictionary, and then I can use it in all my PLC programs. I'll call this Output 1. Now you can see that Output 1 global variable is mapped to this PDO output. I'm going to do the same for the first input on the 4-channel input slice I/O. Call it variable input 1. Now you can't see my system, but I have physically wired the input 1 to output 1. So there's a little test. I can connect to my controller, compile and download my program, start it running, and then once the EtherCAT network gets up, I can force output 1 on, and then I should see input 1 be true because they are physically tied together. And that's exactly what happened. When I force output 1 true, input 1 is recording true. So a quick test just to prove that those inputs are mapped correctly. Working with third-party slice I/O is pretty straightforward because it's typically mapping Boolean and integer-based variables to analog and digital input and output points. In the next video, I'm going to show you a little more advanced features on how to do free PDO mapping and do COInit commands that might be needed if you're using a little more complicated third-party device such as a vector drive or safety PLC.